I wanted to be at Texas State. I chose to be at Texas State. I'm from Texas. That was important to me. I always knew if the right guy got this job, you better watch out.
You better watch out. This is Win Now or Get Bent, episode 178. If you don't already know, I'm Kev Chardello, coming to you on Thursday, November 14th. And welcome home, Bobcats. That's right, it's homecoming. Hope all of you are coming on down to San Marcos, come see these Bobcats in person. Got a good one, Southern Miss, coming in town. I say a good one. They're not doing so hot this year, so that might be a good one for the Bobcats. At least that's what Vegas thinks. We'll get into all of that. We'll talk about the odds. We'll preview this game. Southern Miss Golden Eagles coming up. Before we get there, though, this episode is brought to you by First Lockhart National Bank. As the largest financial institution headquartered in Caldwell County, First Lockhart National Bank expanded to San Marcos in 2018 and opened a state-of-the-art branch on Hunter Road in 2020. For the past 6 years, FLNB has provided a wide range of financial services that have significantly improved the quality of life for the San Marcos community and beyond. Whether you need personal or business checking accounts, business loans, or home mortgages, they've got you covered. Plus, they offer innovative services like video banking, business banking, and a top-of-the-line mobile banking app. FLNB is also a huge supporter of Tech State football, standing out as one of the largest initial investors in NIL deals for Bobcats players. Be sure to follow them on Twitter, X, at First Lockhart, and on Instagram, at First Lockhart. Shout out to my guy, Gil Hodges, Senior Vice President at FLNB in MLS number 2475765, a proud Tech State grad and a diehard fan. We are thrilled to be partnering with Gil and FLNB all season long. You can find them at 2507 Hunter Road. That's 2507 Hunter Road, or give them a call at 512-504-7422. That's 512-504-7422. First Lockhart National Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Terms and conditions may vary. Hey, Bobcat Nation. Looking for your next real estate move? McNabb and Company Real Estate Services has been proudly Bobcat owned and operated for over 15 years. They're your go-to team for buying, selling, investing, and managing properties and everything in between. Whether you're a fan or an alum, they've got the local expertise and full service support you need. Call them today at 512-667-9129. Again, that's 512-667-9129. Or visit them at mcnabbandco.com. That's MCNABB, mcnabbandco.com. McNabb and Company, where Bobcats find their home. Give them a follow on Instagram, Facebook, and X at McNabb & Co. Thank you to Monica Katz, a day one Bobcat supporter. Now she's partnering us this season. Check them out. That's mcnabbandco.com, MCNABB, mcnabbandco.com. And look out for our in-person live episode at Zelix coming up. I say live, it'll probably be pre-recorded. Coming up at Zelix here soon. I'm going to be meeting up with Benji over at Zelix. He's the general manager. Meeting with him later today to figure that out, and I'll make sure to let you know what day. So shout out to McNabb and Company and Zelix Ice House. Great place. And one more at the top, the return of Austin Patchmaster. Drywall, sheetrock, and plaster repair, cracked walls and ceilings, painting, dings and dents, popcorn ceiling removal. They can even fix that hole you punched in your wall after that Sam Houston State loss. We get it. You've been meaning to fix it for a little while. Well, Austin Patchmaster has your back. They've got you covered. Whether you're moving in, moving out, or just looking to upgrade, Austin Patchmaster is your go-to. They are owned and operated by a Tech State grad and a true Tech State sicko, Michael Clements. Austin Patchmaster is one of our first sponsors, and they are back to finish out the season. They are servicing the Austin, San Marcos area, but if you're out somewhere, Dallas, Houston, they can get you a referral. Make sure that they can find a Patchmaster franchise that'll help you out. But check them out at austin.patchmaster.com. Again, that's austin.patchmaster.com. Give them a call at 512-200-3888. Again, that's 512-200-3888. Thank you again to Austin Patchmaster for coming back. My guy, Michael Clements. Nice to read that ad once again. But all right, let's get to these Bobcats, particularly this Southern Miss preview that we have coming up for Texas State. So the Bobcats, little bit of a recap. If you didn't catch the recap episode, go check it out. That was a fun one. I had fun doing the mailbag and recap all in one. It's great to hear from y'all and answer a lot of those questions. But a nice win for Texas State last week. Now they have, after a 2-game skid, so it's nice for them to get back in the winning ways. Right before homecoming, they have that 5th win. One more win makes them bowl eligible. That 6th win. Seems like they do plan on jumping in the river. If you listen to G.J. Kinney's press conference, he talked a little bit about that, about like they did last season. Once they get that 6th win, go for a jump in the river, which is pretty cool. I'm glad they're going to be doing that again. Maybe I'll put a bathing suit under my jeans. No, I don't think I'm jumping in. I jumped in last year. I got peer pressured into jumping in, so I did it. But we'll just probably document it this season. But it is exciting. It's worth celebrating. I'm sure there's a lot of other places, a lot of those schools that are like, wow, that's act like you've been there. Why are you celebrating the bowl win? But there was a long time where this team was FBS and they couldn't get in that bowl, 10 years to be specific. So I'm okay with celebrating it whenever it happens. Let's talk about this Southern Miss preview. Right off the bat, we'll talk about Jordan McLeod, because Jordan McLeod, he got hurt against Louisiana the week before last game, didn't play the second half. This last game, he gets in there. He's against ULM. He starts the game, and then it's a little sporadic with Brad Jackson, true freshman quarterback, getting in there and taking some reps, doing a lot of running. And then Brad Jackson fully took the reins in the second half. It seemed a lot of that was precautionary with his lingering injury. It seemed like a sprained ankle that has to be lingering 2 weeks later. So it's understandable in a game where they want to run a lot. When it's raining the way they did, they decided to go with Brad Jackson. That was the assumption I made on the last pod. And then after the press conference with G.J. Kinney, he said the same thing, said the same situation. I talked about Jordan McLeod and how he looks. He's looking really good. Night and day from last week is how he described it. So that's really good that he is progressing. It tells me it was lingering probably a little more than they were letting on going into that game. And then once it was looking like this is going to be a game that's fought on the ground, decided to stick with Brad Jackson. But Jordan McLeod, healthy, which is good. They need him. Reigning Sun Belt Offensive Player of the Year. He had an amazing first 6 games of the season, and then the last 3 have been, that ODU game, he had 2 interceptions, and then he had an injury against Louisiana, and then it was pretty sporadic for him last week. So I feel like this is going to be his get right game. Get back and get right. But as I mentioned, Brad Jackson, he got in there. G.J. Kinney talked a little bit about Brad Jackson as well, and why he decided to play him instead of maybe some other quarterbacks, or why a true freshman was able to surpass R.J. Martinez, who's a Baylor transfer, and even P.J. Hatter, who's a redshirt freshman that was here last season, even got in the game a little bit as a true freshman. But this is what he said about Brad Jackson. His body of work since he's been here is why he got in there. He's really smart and super talented. He carries himself the right way. The guys on the team have a lot of confidence in him. That's the one thing about the QB position. It's about the way the other guys feel about you, the confidence and belief they have in you. And our guys have a lot of confidence in Brad. So that's high praise for a true freshman, that the other guys around him, a lot of those guys with a ton of experience. This is a very transfer heavy team. So some guys who have even been at some bigger programs, they look at a true freshman at Texas State at the most important position at quarterback, and they believe in him. So that's very telling. But yeah, he also went on to say why he decided to play Brad Jackson. It was a combo of the rain, how the game was working out, play of the hot hand. It had nothing. There's not like a quarterback controversy here. I know I kind of joked on the recap episode, like if you have you want more quarterbacks, right? Because the old adage, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. And then they played multiple quarterbacks in back-to-back weeks. But I don't think either one, obviously the injury situation with Louisiana, that's obviously not a quarterback controversy. And then when we see Brad Jackson go in there, it seems like it was more circumstance than anything else with that situation. So this is still very much Jordan McLeod's team, and he's gonna get back in there. Seems like he's healthy and ready to play. Going against a Southern Miss team that is not doing too great. It's a bit of a downtrodden program. They are 1-7 right now. They started their season with a win, and it's been 7 straight losses since then. In between all of that is a lot of drama as well, which we'll get to. I'm probably getting a little ahead, but let's GJ Kinney on Southern Miss, a lot of talent. They fight hard. Don't look at their record, look at the film, which I understand. They have a lot of talent. And there's a lot of outside factors going on that have gone into those 7 losses. The biggest one, we'll go ahead and jump into this part, is they fired their head coach Will Hall on October 20th. Not too far into the season, they got rid of him. I believe it was his 4th season at Southern Miss. He had some success in his 2nd year, regression last year, and it was just too much for them this year. They decided to move on that early in the season, which I thought was interesting. A little bit of a head scratcher by the Southern Miss admins, if I'm being honest. I mean, I always feel like if you're going to fire a coach that early in the season, why didn't you do it in the off season? And if you're already right there all the way in October, then get closer to the end of the season. Otherwise, you're just completely shooting everything in the foot. You are stopping any kind of resurgence before it even starts by just getting rid of the coach. It's like with I mean, even Everett Withers, it was the second to last game he got fired. Spav got to finish the season. That's I agree with that. Because it's not like you fire a coach in October, and I mean, who are you really talking to be the coach at that time? I mean, I would assume most of your candidates have jobs and they're doing things already. But then they took it even a step further this week, and they fired their offensive coordinator and play caller, Chip Long. This week, they just did it 2 days ago. They fired their play caller. It was his first year. He was a teammate of Will Hall's in college. They brought him in this year. Didn't work out, and so they got rid of him as well. It's interesting to get rid of all these pieces with so much meat on the bone for the season. I mean, there's still 3 games left. It just seems like a lot of unnecessary issues that you're creating by just getting rid of these guys that these players are used to. I mean, I'm not saying like retain them and keep them next year, but it's odd to fire them. And who knows? I don't know what's going on. Maybe they're cussing at the AD or something. Who knows? But yeah, 7 straight losses for Southern Miss. 7 straight losses. They are averaging 16.3 points per game. That is worst in the Sun Belt. They also are dead last in total yards of offense, 290 total yards of offense, dead last in the Sun Belt. I should say all these stats are Sun Belt. I know sometimes I throw these out. A lot of times when I'm talking stats like that, I like to compare peer to peer instead of to the whole nation, 134 teams. That's a lot to compare to, but the 14 teams within this conference, I feel like that's always a good apt comparison. So that's why we're doing that. They have the second worst scoring defense as well, 34.2 points per game. The Golden Eagles are allowing, and the third worst total yards defense, 428 yards per game. Their defense is allowing. So they are near the bottom in offense and defense in the Sun Belt. So that's who the Bobcats have for homecoming. It was nice job scheduling that one. Last year was at Troy, and Troy was pretty good. Summerall was still there. That wasn't a lot of fun. So this is the good. I like this. Nice choice with Southern Miss. Texas State, in comparison to some of those Sun Belt stats that we just read for Southern Miss, Texas State is 4th in the Sun Belt in scoring offense, 33.1 points per game, and they are 3rd in total yards offense per game, 444 yards per game. So Southern Miss is allowing 428. Texas State is averaging 444. They've gotten over that 500-yard mark at least once, maybe a few other times this season, I'm sure. So I could foresee that again this week. Texas State's defense is 3rd in the Sun Belt in scoring defense, allowing 22 points per game. And in total defense, they're 3rd in both. They are also 3rd in total defense, 344 total yards they are allowing per game. Southern Miss, it's been a rough year for the Golden Eagles. They do still have some talent, like GJ Kinney said. You watch the tape and not the record. They do still have some really good players. One player he pointed out specifically is D'Amico Rowland, number 51 on the D line, 6'3", 340 pounds, big space eater, nose guard. It's the type of nose guard that I really like to watch because he doesn't have a ton of stats, maybe like something like 20 tackles and a TFL, but that's not what he does. It's not his job. His job is just to block up the middle of the line. And he does a really good job of that. Big space eater, D'Amico Rowland, really decent running back, number 0 as well. Rodriguez Clark, 400 yards on the season for him. It's just been a down year all around for Southern Miss, but that's a really good player. He transferred in, I want to say Memphis. I should have looked that up before. He's a pretty good transfer that they got, especially after having Frank Gore Jr. the last couple years for them. They're still trying to figure out that replacement. Their quarterback situation is real interesting. I have Ethan Crawford noted here, but they've cycled through a few. Ethan Crawford has been the guy recently. He started 4 games this year, 7 interceptions, no touchdown passes, 40% completion percentage. Does have 189 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. So he's got that, even though that's only 2.2 yards per average on the run. I will say running quarterbacks have really hurt this Texas State defense sometimes. So that is something to keep an eye on. I mean, obviously at 40% completion percentage, he's not a big time passer. 7 interceptions to no touchdowns. I don't know if I've seen that. We'll see if they go with him. I was just looking at some of their other quarterbacks. Do I have you anywhere over here? Right here. There they are. Yeah, Tate Roadmaker as well. FSU transfer. He hadn't done a whole lot either this season. So they've cycled through some other quarterbacks. Now they're sticking with Crawford. Crawford, he was a sophomore, as a true freshman. He played, even started a couple games last year. So he's a younger guy. I guess they're just trying to get him some reps and get him going. I mean, because Tate Roadmaker, he had 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions in the games that they put him in there. Florida State transfer, if you remember that name. So they're struggling. They're struggling at every position. I think the Bobcats are catching them at a really good time for the Bobcats, especially for it being a homecoming game. You have an opponent that you are severely favored over. In fact, 26.5 points. The Bobcats are favored to win this one. We talked a little bit about that in the last episode. The Bobcats are catching them at their lowest point. I mean, you would have thought, I thought the lowest point probably would have been Will Hall being let go, but then after a few more losses in a row, and then you let go of the offensive coordinator as well, it seems like they're really, really flailing. There's a lot of duress. I will say that you can catch a team. Any team that's on a losing streak is always a little scary because they are dying for that win. That is 7 straight games that they've woken up on a Sunday, or if it's a Tuesday game, or a Wednesday, but they woke up on a Sunday with that loser feeling. And you know that feeling. The feeling stinks, especially if you're a player. Or if you're talking about it as fans, as a player, it's so much worse. And to have that just hang over you for so long. I mean, any given Saturday, anything can happen. So you can't play down to this opponent because, I mean, they were favored by 2 touchdowns against ODU, and look what happened there, a 10-point loss for the Bobcats. So this is a game that just because they are favored, just because they are down, just because nothing has seemingly worked for Southern Miss this season, that doesn't mean that they can't do it. So this team, it needs to. We talked a lot about identity with this offense last week, and how it's hard to stay consistent without that identity. But we also saw last week where the run game worked terrifically. I know Jordan McLeod, love to see him get that get right game. Get back in there and get things grooving. Because, I mean, he was on pace to break a lot of single season passing records for Texas State 6 games into the season. In the last 3, let's look at that for Jordan McLeod. Sorry, I feel like I keep diving into my notes over here, but yeah, Jordan McLeod. I mean, the last 3 games. Let's start with ODU first. 173 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. And then Louisiana just played the first half in that one. 88 yards passing, no touchdowns, no picks. Sacked a couple times. And then last week, 56 yards passing, 1 touchdown, and a rushing touchdown. But just 56 yards. So his yards his yards have gone down. His production has gone down each of the last 3 weeks. Injury plays a factor into that. So I'm not, this isn't me knocking him specifically, but I know that he's, after what he had done the first half of the season, he's got to be itching to get out there and get those yards and get those stats. But even with that, the Bobcats were terrific running the ball last week. Was it 54 runs to 14 passes, something like that? I probably don't have that exact number right, but it was around that. And so Um, you're going against the team this week. They are what is it? I just had it here. They're fourth in pass defense, but they're dead last in the Sun Belt in rushing. 230 yards rushing they're allowing per game. Texas State's third in the Sun Belt in rushing. 200 yards they're averaging a game. So if they're averaging 230 yards allowed on the ground, then you got hammer it. Deion Hankins wearing 88 again this week. I loved it. Big 88 back there. If not, there's Ishmati. There's Burgess. There's Lincoln Perry. They have we haven't seen a lot of Jalen Jenkins since he fumbled. He's the Washington State transfer. He's kind of more of a scat back. I anticipated a lot of passes out of the backfield for a player like him. You saw a lot of that. So I think that running the ball again and unloading that running back room like they did last week might be beneficial. Maybe some more Brad Jackson. Heck, man, he was running that ball pretty good against Louisiana Monroe. There's a little bit more tape on it this week for Southern Miss, but even though McLeod is back and even though he's feeling good and even though I want him to get those yards and get those numbers, I think it's safe to do a heavy run attack similar to last week. Maybe not as much, maybe not 54. I'd love to see it. I'm all about it, but I imagine they want to get more of a balance in there with that. And it's good because there was times where we'd see them struggle where the balance, if they pass more, it seems like they're not as efficient when they pass significantly more than they run the ball. If it's closer to 50-50, it's a good thing. And even when they go over 50-50 and they run the ball more than they pass, it seems to be pretty beneficial for this team. So I say run the ball, go get them. 26.5 points. The Bobcats are favored. I think they're gonna beat that. I think that this is after those two losses were pretty humbling. They came back and they did really well against ULM. This is a team that is still very, very talented. I'd put it up there with any team in the Sun Belt, talent for talent, pound for pound, position for position. I'd put the Bobcats up there with anybody. It comes down to execution and consistency with these guys. But even so, I feel like an opponent like this, we've seen them play down their opponents. Hopefully they've learned those lessons by playing down to some of these opponents, and that won't happen again because we haven't seen the Bobcats put up 50 all year. And I know that's a thing that GJ Kinney, offense coordinator, Mac Leftwich, it's what they like that. They like putting up 50, getting a nice 50 burger. My guy, Victor Wembanyama, had a 50 burger last night. Y'all see that? Shout out to my guy, Josh Langhorst. His wife flew. I've given a quick shout out just to interrupt the pod, I guess. His wife was on a flight with my mom. Small world. How about that? They were sitting next to each other. They both work in the dental field, and they exchanged information and they even exchanged tickets. My mom gave them some Spurs tickets and they went last night. So Josh got to see that 50 from Wimby. Shout out to that. I'm glad Josh got to see that and his family. And in return, my mom got some Texas State, Georgia State tickets. So they'll be there for that one. So fun stuff there. I got off on a tangent. I said 50 and I just thought about Wimby. I can't help myself. But yeah, 50 burger. They haven't done it all year. I feel like this is the week. This is the one. I've called it a couple other times where I'm like, they're going to put up 50 and then they didn't do it. So, take this for what you will, but I'm feeling 50-17 if I want to put a score on it. I hate the score prediction. It's never materializes. And, I'm trying to predict a game. That's the best part about sports is the unpredictability of it. And so trying to predict it is a fool's game, in my opinion. So I don't gamble. I don't gamble. I gamble enough on sports. I've kind of gambled my whole career on sports. So I don't need to do an extra parlay. I already have enough on the line with this whole deal. But yeah, that's how I feel. Bobcats 50-17. I feel like it's going to be a good win for the Bobcats against Southern Miss. It's pretty quick episode today on the Bobcats. We just did one a couple days ago, so not a whole lot going. We'll get a good basketball update. I know we got some hoops rolling. It's been an interesting 2 weeks for me. If you heard the last pod, I talked about all the illness going on in my household. And since the last one, my daughter has gone to the doctor. She also has double ear infections. So it's quadruple ear infections for you keeping track at home in the Chardello household. But we have lots of medicine, some amoxicillin Everybody's doing great. It's great. There's actual peace in my household. So it's been real nice. But yeah, this is a pretty quick episode. And honestly, because it's a quick episode, I didn't uh yeah, I didn't write any notes on this one, but I am gonna bring this one up. Um just because I thought about bringing it up on the last one. I'm not trying to to bring up a subject, a sore subject, kick a horse while it's down type of situation. But there was that protest at Texas State last week where I don't want to say a protest. It wasn't a protest. Shit, I've already right out the gate I've worded it wrong. But there was a demonstration at Texas State, and a lot of you know in the quad by the Stallion statue, they have a First Amendment section, a free speech section where groups can come up and they can demonstrate whatever their feelings are, their organization or what have you. It's something that happened when I was in school, and it was a pretty unfortunate situation where there was a group and they were holding signs saying women are property. They had a list of things that are property, and it was women, slaves, cars. It was really gross stuff. I've seen some bad stuff in that First Amendment section over the years. That one was by far the worst. And I imagine the election exacerbated it and emboldened some of this rhetoric that we're seeing out there. But it's an unfortunate situation, and I really I just wanted to bring it up to I saw a lot of blame for Texas State, as in turn, obviously, as the president of the school, Dr. Kelly Dampus, he's going to catch some of that heat for what happened there. Um, I will say that First Amendment section, they have to have that there, and it's not a situation where that group had to be like, hey, we're coming, we're going to be here at this time. We have to fill out this form. You know exactly what we're going to say. Here's the signs we're going to hold up. It's none of that. They just show up and they go, and that's the law. They have to as a public institution. As a place that accepts taxpayers' money, they have to do things like this. And so it is unfortunate when people take advantage of that and they go up there to put up their rhetoric. It wasn't Texas State. There wasn't anything Texas State approved. All right, as somebody I know Dr. Kelly Dampus personally, and he would absolutely not allow that if he knew that was going to happen. They did what they could to swiftly act and get that out of there. But the damage was done. Articles were written, pictures were taken. It's all over social media. It's been brought. The only reason I'm bringing it up here is because it's been brought up to me in my personal life. It's before it was Texas State. Oh, they're doing well at football. Last week, it's been like, wow, wow, that's not good. And we talk about the importance of sports. It's what everybody sees. It's the front porch. We've talked about that a lot. It's the front porch of the university. All the goodwill that was built with sports, it can go away with something small like this happening. Um, I don't honestly, I don't know what the full solution is. I do know that I don't know what the parameters are for the free speech zone. If it does have to be in the quad right there by the Stallion statue where everybody's walking, going to classes and everything. I don't know. Maybe it could be, not less visible, but just not right in front of everybody. You can have a more prepared response when it is, and I get it, like it's free speech zone, but that's not, there's hate speech. Hate speech isn't necessarily protected. I mean, you don't have to put up with that. I mean, I just imagine there's got to be a way to quarrel that, because this is two things this year that have rubbed women the wrong way. It's the Jaden Delora situation at the beginning of the year, and now this one at the end of the year. It it it's I, it's two times this year, and I just hope that Texas State takes a lesson from this and shows a little more caution or a little more thought, when it comes to what happens here at this university, because this is stuff that people are going to see, and they're going to, that's in their mind with Texas State. Those signs are jarring, and that's going to be on a lot of people's mind. And it undoes a lot of the positive marketing that has been going on. And I appreciate Dr. Kelly Dampus and what he's done and everything he's done for this university in sports, and for uh, gaining a lot of support and getting a lot of positivity around this university. It's just a shame that something like that can undo a lot of great work. So I hope there is a better solution for that. Because I think about, my daughter, I got her wearing future Tech State Bobcat stuff all the time, and I just think about her walking past that and having to see that. And it's disappointing. And I don't want that. I don't want that for Texas State. And I mean, even going back to the Jaden Delore thing, that was one where they were like, well, he was a minor and he according to our student code of conduct, he's okay, and they made all these excuses, and it's just I just hope that uh you can get rid of the excuses and find solutions, because you don't need to treat women like that, especially not at our university. This is a place we all take a lot of pride in. A lot of you listening right now. And it's a shame that this place that we take a lot of pride in, people will have this idea of it that isn't true. But yeah, I hate to end it on a somewhat negative note, but that is it's something that is worth addressing, and it is something that Texas State needs to be concerned about their image when it comes to these types of situations, because it's twice this year. It's twice where uh, it's not a good look, and it's something that is, even though the JDL, yes, he was a football player, these are situations that are off the field and don't have to do with sports. So it is a shame. Just something to think about. There's a lot going on into promoting and bringing up the school. A lot of content out there. I love the content. Hey, I'm content is what I'm all for. The hot wing stuff that they do, or they eat the hot wings and they do an interview. It's good stuff. But I hope there's more. It's a little more concern about what's actually happening, and not the 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 outward facing look that people have with this university. But we'll end it with that. But don't forget, Bobcats, I have them winning this week. So we'll get back on positivity. Just wanted to address that, and we'll leave it at that. I didn't even bring it up on Twitter. I don't want to add to the rhetoric. I'm saying this just to y'all. I'm not even going to write it in the description or anything, just to y'all, because I know this is, we care about this university. And if you're listening to this, it's not, if I put it on Twitter and I say these things, it goes out to the people on the outside. This is me to y'all saying, like, I hope that gets figured out, because if we want to increase the profile of this university, have to clean a lot of that stuff up. But all right, that'll do it for this episode. Big game on Saturday, 6 p.m. kickoff, Southern Miss. Hope you'll be there. Homecoming, I'll be there. I'll bring some koozies, we'll hand them out. Hit me up if you're coming out. But this episode was brought to you by TGC LLC, the GalindoCollective.com. That's GALINDO, GalindoCollective.com. A team of professional consultants dedicated to helping others realize their business potential through people, planning, and practice. Their services cover a wide range of areas such as business strategy, marketing, human resources, and financial planning. If you own property or a business and want to maximize its profitability, contact TGC at thegalindocollective.com and follow their social media platforms on Twitter at TGC_LLC and on Instagram and Facebook at the Galindo Collective. Shout out to my guy, Rick Galindo, a Tech State grad, a true sicko. He's been with us since last season. Helped get us to the bowl game, helped get us to Media Day in New Orleans over summer, helping us all this season. He's even helping us get some of you to the game with our TGC ticket giveaway. We'll have another one for homecoming. Look out for it. Get on Twitter. We'll be doing the contest at noon. You can even send an email to wnogbkef@gmail.com, and I'll throw you in the drawing for that ticket. So look out for that. Again, that's the GalindoCollective.com, GALINDO, GalindoCollective.com. We've got one more from our guys at Chilzey, Chilzey.com, CHILLZEY.com. You can get custom tumblers like this awesome one. If you're watching on YouTube, Win Now or Get Bent on YouTube, you can see me holding up a tumbler with the Mad Cat logo right there. You can get any custom logo you want on there. And if you order 6 or more of these tumblers and you punch in Bobcats at the checkout, you'll get them for $15 a piece, which is a great, great deal. They also have custom koozies. If you're looking on YouTube, you can see me holding up our custom Win Now or Get Bit koozies. Got black, white, American colors right here, American flag right there. You can get any logo you want on there. If you're going to games, hit me up and I'll make sure to get you some of these. Brought to you by Chillzey.com, ChillZey.com. Shout out to my guy, Dennis Redding, a true TextAid sicko, a TextAid grad. He's been helping us out, handing out koozies for everybody since last season. So shout out to my guy, Dennis. So hit them up again. That's Chillzey.com, ChillZey.com. Check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/winnoworgetbent. Check out our merch site, WNOGB.com. I've got the Win Now or Get Bent shirt on, the old school one. You can see it's even a little faded. This one's from 4 years ago. This was the first round of it. One you guys will order has a little bit of a better logo on it. We figured that out. But check it out, WNOGB.com. We've got sweaters, mugs, a whole bunch of good stuff. Check out our Twitter page at Win Now or Get Bent on Twitter, on Instagram at WNOGB. Like, subscribe, comment on all our platforms, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you're consuming this pod. Make sure you let those areas know that you're tuning in and you're digging what we're putting out there. Or you're not digging it and you want to give a negative one, that's cool too. I want to hear from you. I want to hear from the people. I like the comments on YouTube. I know people tell me, don't read the comments. Hey, don't read the comments. I like reading the comments. Even when they're negative, I'm like, okay, maybe something I can learn here. So always get out there and be heard. The closed mouth never gets fed, as they say. But thank you to First Lockhart National Bank. Thank you to McNabb. Thank you to TGC. Thank you to Austin Patchmaster back in the mix. Thank you to Chillzey. Shout out to the great wizard, Zachary Webb, the wizard of Win Now or Get Bent, always making this podcast look great. Shout out to our great intern, Reese Largent, cracking away at that Patreon page. Excited to sit and watch the Southern Miss game with him this week. And of course, thank you to you sickos. Without you, we'd be shouting into the void. You have helped us grow. We've grown so much. We're able to just keep, even in the season, add more sponsors and do all these other great things. It's because you keep tuning in, keep supporting us, you keep letting people know that you're listening to us. And I can't thank you enough for that. Hey, let's get this bowl eligibility. Huh? Let's jump in that river this weekend. I'm feeling it. I'm ready. Ready for it, Bobcats. Get this dub. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Win now or get bent.